All right, here we go. Letter number 7. My dear Wormwood, I wonder you should ask me whether it is essential to keep the patient in ignorance of your own existence. That question, at least for the present phase of the struggle, has been answered for us by the High Command. Our policy for the moment is to conceal ourselves. Of course, this has not always been so. We are really faced with a cruel dilemma. When humans believe in our existence, we lose all the pleasing results of direct terrorism and we make no magicians. On the other hand, when they believe in us, we cannot make them materialists and skeptics, at least not yet. I have great hopes that we shall learn in due time how to emotionalize and mythologize their science to such an extent that what is, in effect, a belief in us, though not under that name, will creep in while the human mind remains closed to the enemy. So what he's saying is, like, if people know that we're around, like, we can't terrorize them because they know we're there. But when they believe in us, like when they know we're there, then it's more difficult to make them materialistic and skeptical, which is like the subtle way of keeping them from God. The life force, the worship of sex, and some aspects of psychoanalysis may here prove useful. If once we can produce our perfect work, the materialist magician, the man not using but veritably worshiping what he vaguely calls forces while denying the existence of spiritists, then the end of the war will be in sight. But in the meantime, we must obey our orders. I do not think you will have much difficulty in keeping the patient in the dark. The fact that devils are predominantly comic figures in the modern imagination will help you. If any faint suspicion of your existence begins to arise in his mind, suggest to him the picture of something red in tights and persuade him that since he cannot believe in that, it is an old textbook method of confusing them. He therefore cannot believe in you. So keep at the forefront of their minds the like comic book cartoon images of Satan. I had not forgotten my promise to consider whether we should make the patient an extreme patriot or an extreme pacifist. Sorry, the dog is wagging his tail because Ben has entered the room. I gotta fight him off. Okay. Not always, of course. All extremes except extreme devotion to the enemy are to be encouraged. Not always, of course, but at this period, some ages are lukewarm and complacent, and then it is our business to soothe them yet faster asleep. Other ages, of which the present is one, are unbalanced and prone to faction, and it is our business to inflame them. Any small coterie, bound together by some interest which other men dislike or ignore, tends to develop inside itself a hothouse mutual admiration, and towards the outer world a great deal of pride and hatred, which is entertained without shame, because the cause is its sponsor, and it is thought to be impersonal. Even when the little group exists originally for the enemy's own purpose, this remains true. We want the church to be small, not only that fewer men may know the enemy, but also that those who may acquire the uneasy intensity and defensive self-righteousness of a secret society or a clique. So you want to keep it all a tight-knit group that doesn't want anyone else in. The church herself is, of course, heavily defended, and we have never yet quite succeeded in giving her all the characteristics of a faction, but subordinate factions within her have often produced admirable results, from the parties of Paul and of Apollos at Corinth down to the high and low parties in the Church of England. If your patient can be induced to become a conscientious objector, he will automatically find himself one small, vocal, organized, and unpopular society, and the effects of this on one so new to Christianity will almost certainly be good. But only almost certainly. Has he had serious doubts about the lawfulness of serving in a great war before this present war began? Is he a man of great physical courage, so great that he will have no half-conscious misgivings about the real motives of pacifism? Can he, when nearest to honesty, no human is ever very near, feel fully convinced that he is actuated wholly by the desire to obey the enemy, if he is that sort of man, his pacifism will probably not do us much good, and the enemy will probably protect him from the usual consequences of being in a sect. Your best plan, in that case, would be to attempt a sudden, confused emotional crisis from which he might emerge as an uneasy convert to patriotism. Such things can often be managed, but if he is the man I take him to be, try pacifism. Whichever he adopts, your main task will be the same. Let him begin by treating the patriotism or the pacifism as part of his religion. Then let him, under the influence of partisan spirit, come to regard it as the most important part. Then quietly, gradually, nurse him onto the stage at which the religion becomes merely part of the cause, in which Christianity is vaguely valued chiefly because of the excellent arguments it can produce in favor of the British war effort or of pacifism. This attitude, which you want to guard against, is that which is temporal affairs are treated primarily as material for obedience. Once you have made the world an end and faith a means, you have almost won your man, and it makes very little difference what kind of worldly end he is pursuing. So either he's going to be against the war and fighting against it, or he's going to be for the war and very strongly going towards it. However, whichever way you distract him is important, because then he's going to focus on that and not God. Okay? Providing that meetings, pamphlets, policies, movements, causes, and crusades matter more to him than prayers and sacraments and charity, he is ours, and more religious on those items, the more securely ours. I should show you a pretty cageful down here. Your affectionate uncle, Screwtape.